Thank you to Jerome Powell for staying on script. Welcome back to the channel. Tune in or ghost out. Just like clockwork, folks, Jerome Powell has wrapped up another meeting where he has given his outlook on the economic forecast, and it's a whole lot of rain. But there's a little bit of cloudy and maybe some sunshine. Let's go into what he's saying. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe to join the thread. So Jerome Powell confirms that there will be more rate cuts coming within the year, at least 2 more, including October and December's meetings. How big those rate cuts will be, nobody knows. On top of confirming interest rate cuts, he did point to the job number stats that we don't have yet and said, while we don't have those numbers right now, the signals are telling him that it's similar to what September showed. And if we go off the ADP report that we went over a couple of videos ago, it does show a decline in hiring and a slight tick up in unemployment. In reality, I think October and September are probably worse than expected. And with the shutdown estimating to last over 35 days, the information that we get will be 2 months old at this time. Stick with me here. If it's 2 months old by the time it does make it to Jerome Powell's desk and they open up the government, let's say in November, and it will give more credence to some members of the Fed that are suggesting that we cut rates by 0.5% in December. Keep in mind, the only people in the Fed calling for these large of cuts are the ones that were directly put into place by Trump, like Stephen Mirren. This guy has been begging Jerome to drop rates aggressively, and that's purely just to boost the stock market. But as we saw today, there is so much uncertainty in the market, and this time it's not because of what Trump can do, but it's that people are waking up to what he is doing. Market manipulation works really well when no one really knows what's going on, but when everybody blatantly sees someone make $100 million off shorting Bitcoin seconds before you release a tweet, only the most MAGA of supporters can ignore what's going on here. With this knowledge now being more publicly discussed by everyday investors and people who don't invest, people are watching those wallets that are making these major moves more closely, and you can tell that the market is not happy. The same person that cashed out on Friday's dip is setting up trades to cash out at the end of October. If you have a brain cell, you would probably be wondering what's coming in the end of October. Well, on top of the Fed meeting, the trade war could get really bad by that time going into the holiday. With these 100% tariffs announced on China, but somewhat walked back on the Monday after all the events transpired, it would have such a detrimental effect to the holiday economy. I know companies have stocked up, but if you add another 100% tariff, they're gonna have to raise prices because they don't want to feel the pain of those increases. People are thinking that China is gonna chicken out before anything real materializes like back in April, but they came out and basically said, we are not okay with what Trump did on Friday. This whole art of the deal and all the winning we're doing is starting to hurt, guys. But for the sake of this video, let's assume the only issue we have going into the holiday season is the interest rates. I hate to beat a dead horse, guys, but interest rate cuts are generally not a good thing when you're already in a bad situation. And I don't mean like trying to revive the economy. I mean more so in the sense of you've already pumped half of the money ever printed into the economy within 3 years, and now you're trying to find ways to make people spend that money by not reducing prices, but just making it easier to borrow. If you've kept up with the amount of defaults on loans and people who are unable to make payments, you would see that that is not a good thing to be giving Americans at this time. If it does help the economy for the short time, then we have to hope on something big happening in the next year to really pull the economy out. And that's really the problem that we have now. It's the feeling that the economy is slowly drowning, but instead of sinking like the 2008 recession or the Great Depression, we just keep flailing our arms and keeping our nose above water. While most of us are struggling to breathe, the people who have money are somewhat keeping everything together. But if we cut rates and we don't figure it out within the near future, then we end up in the same position that we're in now, but even worse. The inflation that we're seeing today will just multiply in 2 or 3 years if we don't address it. And since we've cut rates so much in the past already, we don't even just face inflation, we face stagflation. And if you want to talk about endgame, stagflation is endgame. And the funniest part of it all is it's literally a cycle. If we enter stagflation, we have to raise rates again and somehow make the economy more productive, which will not happen because we raised the rates and lowered productivity. The ability to not find a job now will feel way worse once stagflation really takes control. But it's okay. It's okay for the government to cut our rates and make it harder for the everyday American because there's nothing that they possibly could do to help us, right? Well, I hate to break it to you, that's not true either. Just like 2008, a bailout is always on the table. Do I think the economy needs a bailout right now? That may be a little too soon, but seeing how Argentina just randomly got $20 billion out of nowhere when we can't figure out how to fund our government kind of makes you look at at it a little different. Not to mention, just our farmers alone are suffering because of these tariffs. And somehow, even though they're suffering, Trump is doubling down on restricting soybean trade to China, even saying that we may no longer need them at all. That is pure insanity. I'm not sure how you feel about globalization. I'm not a fan of it. We've talked about it on this channel, but the issue with the plans that we have going on are not that it's necessarily a problem to disconnect from China. We've been needing to do that for a long time. It's the fact that we're doing it with no clear ways to actually do it. And while Americans don't really use soybeans, we did put a lot of farming infrastructure into growing and selling those purely to China. Now that market is destroyed and probably won't find a new buyer anytime soon. But it's okay, because green line on stock market go up. And think about it, aside from the farmers, how does this help you? If they lower these interest rates, that means that you can get loans at a better rate and that it's easier to borrow. But if houses are $449,000 on average, just because you can get that $449,000 loan for a little bit less doesn't mean you should be buying a $449,000 home in the first place. It does not address the actual issues of price inflation, asset inflation, and insane price gouging. Actually, it reinforces all of these things because they know they're going to have more money bleeding into the system. The housing market is so broken because we keep letting these prices go up and nobody is addressing that the average buyer cannot afford this. I've told you before, the average house buying age is 38, and if AI doesn't change the world overnight, that age will soon be 45. But is it all doom and gloom heading into the holiday season, and is there anything you can do or anywhere you can put your money to where it would be safe at? Well, no. Like I said, interest rate cuts equal green line go up, and that's not just my theory, that's just a proven fact. This holiday season does look very bullish, but there are some red flags to be cautious of. If you keep following dips and throwing money at the wall, you will end up in a bad place. But if you move with just basic strategy, then you might make a nice little profit. Again, this is not financial advice because I don't want you guys to come to the channel to see what I'm doing. I just want to give you a lay of the land so you can move better in your everyday, but I will address what I'm going to be doing heading into this holiday season. I've shown my love for gold and silver and just having metals, and people in the comments have also expressed that this has been a safe route, and with all the uncertainty and unknowns in the economy right now, it's only going to go up. The price prediction for gold and silver in a year is a nice substantial gain in my opinion, and after Friday with all the uncertainty with the tweet, it actually made the gold futures go up. Uncertainty literally equals fuel to the metals. On top of that, if you've noticed, the number one thing that's affecting our economy right now or has the ability to really hurt America and countries across the world are rare earth minerals. If you are not looking into these, I think you're really missing out on a buying opportunity. We need these rare earth metals just to progress as humanity. And with just how new it is across the world, there's going to be so many companies that pop up that are going to be a good investment opportunity. And rare earths teach us something about the market that is actually very important. You should always be keeping your eyes and ears open to the emerging markets. A year ago, no one was looking at these things, but now they're more impactful than ever, and I'm definitely bullish on them. Now, let's switch over to crypto. People have been hyping up Bitcoin, and that has been scaring me. I'm not gonna lie. While I think Bitcoin is fundamentally something that is very sound and is a good investment, I don't like all the glazing that it's getting because it's just making it seem too easy of a way to make money. With that being said, I think it is a very easy way to make money in the future. Would I put my entire life savings into it? Probably not, but I think having money in it is a good idea. You don't want to miss the opportunities, and it does seem like it could go parabolic, but again, everybody loving it makes me a little uneasy holding it. But make sure if you do hold any crypto, again, do it on a cold wallet, do it something that is not Coinbase, Robinhood, or an app. Worst case scenario, like what we saw on Friday, if you need to pull money out at a moment's notice or liquidate your positions quickly, these apps will probably have server issues or freeze up right when you need to use them the most. Don't get caught with your pants down. Buy a cold wallet. It costs a little bit of money up front and will give you endless value as time goes on. Other than Bitcoin, the only other things I'm very bullish on are XRP and Ethereum. I'm not one to go look for every altcoin in the world. Maybe you found some good ones. I'm not here to tell you that you haven't. Will I hold XRP for a long time? Ethereum, Bitcoin, probably. Will I hold a fart coin for a long time? Probably not, but that doesn't mean it's a bad investment. It's just not for me. But I do have high confidence in XRP and Ethereum. I do see the utility just as I see the utility with Bitcoin, and that's the reason I trust my money in those cryptos. But even with crypto, there's a lot of grift going on in that sector, and I know they're talking about alt season coming soon, but be careful. If you remember what happened last bull cycle, people who didn't sell at all-time highs with the altcoin were left waiting for a rally that never showed up and saw short gains disappear. I think this go around, it will probably worse just because of the pancake swap version that we're on that is so heavily leveraged. Most people are within a certain price range, and once they get liquidated, the price tumbles. Just this past Friday when we saw the crash, altcoins that were seen as relatively safe saw dips as big as 80%, just like Cardano, Link, and a few other ones that people had high trust in. Leverage does not help you in the long run. It helps people who are not leveraged, but the leverage buyers do put a strain on the system, and it does get scary when they get liquidated. But no matter what you guys invest in, just make sure to keep one thing close to mind. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. We've all heard this saying, and it's the truest thing you'll ever hear. You can throw money at things and gamble it, but this is not sports betting. You pay attention to the signs and use critical thinking, along with a little bit of luck, you can navigate this uncertain market, but believing that you just know what's going to happen because it's been green and it's going to stay green will have you in the red quicker than you know it. But again, guys, what do I know? I'm just a guy playing Call of Duty in the year 2025. If you agree or disagree with anything I said, let me know down below in the comments. I read all of them. Maybe drop in what you're bullish on or what you think will happen in the next few months, because I don't know, a lot of signs are pointing one way, but maybe I'm just not seeing the other signs. Like and comment to join the thread. And with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Transmission complete. Signal terminating. This is Ghost Thread, signing off.